let's look at another conversion situation. Let's suppose we had quantities expressed as a fraction. And we wanted to know, well, what would be the equivalent expression of that same amount as a percent? Let's suppose you read 5/8 of the students at Southern State are receiving financial aid. Well, suppose we wanted to know, well, what percentage of students at Southern State are receiving financial aid? So we want to convert this fraction expression of a quantity into the percentage expression of that same quantity. In order to do that, my suggestion to you, again, is to set up your frogs drink Pepsi fractions decimal percent chart. And in order to get from fractions to percent, let's go first to a decimal. And we've already seen how we convert a fraction to a decimal. It's a division. We divide the denominator into the numerator. So if I'm using my calculator, I'm going to put in the 5, I'm going to hit my division sign, I'm going to put in the 8, I'm going to hit the equal sign, and the display will show me 0.625. 625 thousandths is the decimal equivalent of 5/8. Now I can convert that decimal to its equivalent as a percent. To go from decimal to percent, I'm moving to the right on my chart, so I move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So 5/8 is the same as saying 62.5%. So if 5/8 of the students at Southern State are receiving financial aid, then we could say that 62.5% of the students at Southern State are receiving financial aid. It's simply another form of expressing the same partial quantity. 3/4. Again, we could convert that to a decimal first before we get to the percent. Converting that into a decimal gives us 75 hundredths. Take the 3, divide it by the 4, 3, divide sign, 4, equal sign if you're using your calculator. And you would get 0.75, 75 hundredths. Converting that to a percent, we move the decimal point 2 places to the right, add the percent sign. So if you said 3/4 of the students at Southern State are women, then you'd be saying 75% of the students at Southern State are women. They're expressing equivalent quantities. If we convert a fraction like 2/3 to a percent, again, first write it as a decimal. Well, if we do that, we would see that this fraction, when converted to a decimal, is a repeating decimal. So typically what we would do is we would go out several places, maybe 4 places would be good as a decimal, then convert that to a percent, again by moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. And then we would think about, well, now what kind of rounding here in this decimal portion of my percent, what kind of rounding do I want to use? So if we wanted to round to the nearest tenth of a percent, then we would have to have a digit here to look at. And in this case, if we wanted to round that percentage to the nearest tenth of a percent, that 6 makes this become a 7, and we would say that would be 66.7%, 66 7/10%. So if we said 2/3 of the students at Southern State are going to go on to get their bachelor's degree, then we could say 66.7% of the students at Southern State intend to go on to get their bachelor's degree. Those are equivalent quantities. Or we could have a situation with this fraction that we've looked at before. When we divide this fraction, it doesn't terminate like these do when we produce the decimal. It doesn't repeat with a small quantity. It repeats with a large number of digits. So maybe, again, we would just go out a few decimal places, in this case 3, and then when we convert that to its equivalent, we'd have 42.3%. So if 11/26, why you would use that fraction, I don't know, but if say 11/26 of the students at Southern State like hot dogs, then you could say 42.3% of the students at Southern State like hot dogs. I would guess it's probably a little higher percentage than that, wouldn't you?